Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love training software developers and building custom software solutions. So I've worked as a fractional CTO with over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years of building software. I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So today we're diving in to bring you some great tutorials on OpenWrt. This is a great firmware that if you want to start hacking on embedded devices, particularly routers, and want to build network devices or even on a Raspberry Pi, OpenWrt is a great example of an awesome embedded project. So if you want to start in embedded Linux, this is a fantastic place to start. So we're going to dive in. We've got a previous video, so make sure you check out the playlist here because we've got a great playlist of OpenWrt tutorials. But let's dive into our topic today, and we're going to teach you some more about OpenWrt. All right, so whether you're wanting to build some embedded stuff, whether you're wanting to build some embedded router technologies, dive into some network technology, or if you're just looking for some simple ways to learn Linux, this is a great way to jump in. Now, I've got a link down below for a great project kit. It's $20. So you know I'm not like making major profit off of this, right? But I've just got stacks of old routers that are really great to dig in, and you just can't screw up. These are great routers for learning OpenWrt and ultimately for learning a lot of Linux. So let's jump in today, and we're going to talk about some of the basics around OpenWrt. So I'm going to share my screen here. So now, let me shrink my head a little bit and get it out of the way. Now, in our previous videos, we showed you how to flash the router. So again, if you didn't look at these, go check out our previous videos. Also, make sure you check out all of our previous coding videos. We have tons of coding, over 500 samples with free code samples. So make sure you check those out. But we've set our password before, and so we're going to log in here to the web interface of our router. So now this web interface is what we call LuCi, which stands for Lua Universal Control Interface, right? And so, or configuration interface, excuse me, UCI. So we talked a little bit in our previous video about UCI, right? UCI is a command line that you can use at the command line. So everything I'm showing you here on the screen is running off of one of those kit routers. I'm actually doing it on exactly the same kit router as what you'd buy for that $20, right? So very powerful, and we can learn a ton of great stuff here. So what I've done, and so I'm actually going to just log back into this here. So I'm going to fire up PuTTY. We're going to go, I'm going to drag it over here to the screen. We're going to go to 192.168.1.1 by default, port 22. Hit open. You're going to be greeted with this prompt. So let me get these pinned here. You're going to be greeted with this prompt. It's always going to be root because OpenWrt is a single user system. So as embedded Linux goes, very frequently it's common to have a single user system. And so everything on this runs as root. And then type in my password, and we're greeted with this build that we have here, 2022-03. So this isn't super latest. Latest I think as this recording is 2204, but we're pretty close. So now what we're going to do here is I'm going to first show you UCI, right? So this is the Universal Configuration Interface. So everything in OpenWrt is a config file, so you can see all the config files for DHCP, firewall, network, system, UCI track, wireless, etc. All of these things. UHTTPD is actually the embedded web interface that runs to power the internal web interface that you have here. It's actually very quick, very fast. So UCI manages this. So I can say UCI show wireless, and it's going to show me all the wireless settings, right? So these are some of these commands. Now, this is actually what LuCi is actually using under the covers to do all of the wireless configurations that you see on the router here, right? So this is a great example of how to see some of these. Now, what I want to dive into today, and what OpenWrt is super robust from, one of the best features of this is the package management system that OpenWrt has. So OpenWrt has a package management system that they use opkg. Now, I think originally this was designed for larger amounts of products. I don't know of anything else that uses opkg. opkg is actually a large package management system, and OpenWrt uses this. So it's very similar to apt-get. So if you're used to the apt-get commands, a lot of them work very similar, right? So opkg update, and what that's going to do is grab the latest repository listing of all the packages, and you can see they're broken down into different types of packages, right? So you get different bases. We've got LuCi, routing, all different kinds of stuff, right? So once you've done the update, I want to install Nano. because I'm an old crusty Windows developer and I don't love VI. I know enough VI to be dangerous, but so there's a lot of VI haters out there, but let's just say I want to install Nano, right? So opkg install Nano. That easy. And this router isn't super crazy fast. The newer routers are going to have dual core and a lot of other fancier stuff. So particularly package installation is going to take just a second. So it's actually downloading and installing these packages as we speak. All right, so it installed those packages. I paused it for just a quick second, but it installed those packages, and now we're off and running. So now I can execute Nano. So Nano, let's say I want to edit a config file, Nano wireless file, right? So now I can come in here and I can edit this. So this didn't exist before, so now I can do that. So inside of LuCi, you can also do the same thing by coming up here. So if I want to install this via the UI, I can do the same thing by coming here to System and then Software. Now, in this, you're going to see that this is actually where it's going to give you the package name. So I could have just as easily gone and installed Nano. Now, you can see there's tons of different packages on here that are available, and I can just click these and install. So if we want to see which packages are installed, we click on this tab, and you see now that we installed Nano. Let's go find it here. Looks like we got multiple pages here. So if we wanted to check out Nano, looks like our pages here are funny. So again, sometimes I do these real, oh, there's our page buttons up here, because I want to show you that even I'm learning things as we go. And I've been programming on OpenWrt. I actually hosted a lot of the original OpenWrt build servers for them, hosted those for multiple years before they moved them up into the cloud. But so there's pages up here at the top. So you can see that we passed it here. So there's the Nano that we just installed, right? And if I want to remove it, I can come over here and remove these packages. Now, the thing about it too is this actually lets you remove packages that you might not necessarily want to remove, like opkg. So I don't even know what would happen if we try to remove opkg. Some of these are built into the kernel itself. Now, that's one of the other things that I want to show you guys really quick. So how is OpenWrt doing all of this, right? So OpenWrt is actually built on top of BusyBox, right? So if I go and look at all the different, so if I go to bin and I look at all of these, you can see, let me open this a little wider so that we can read this a little easier. You can see that all of these are actually pointing to BusyBox. So BusyBox, if you do ash, so that's one of the first things, is that when you're writing code in OpenWrt, frequently you'll find scripts online for bash, and those don't always work in OpenWrt. And that's because OpenWrt actually runs ash, which is actually a condensed version of bash. And the reason being is because it's actually running off of BusyBox. So if I do opkg list installed, and then I want to see which packet, what a version is, I can say grep BusyBox. Let's see which version. So we're BusyBox 135. So you can go look and see. And then based on OpenWRT's build system, there'll be different things that'll be built into BusyBox. So for instance, VI is actually not full VI install. It's actually part of BusyBox, right? So if I'm looking at mount, it's actually part of BusyBox, right? Lots of this part is, lots of the things that run on OpenWrt are actually coming off of BusyBox. So even if I'm doing a DF, that's coming off BusyBox, right? If I want to mount something or zip, right? Gzip is actually coming out of here. grep, right? Lots of different things coming off of BusyBox. So BusyBox is a busy little bee. So that's part of the reason why we see a condensed version of a lot of these things in OpenWrt. So when you're looking at this, you're actually, so let's say that I wanted to install, whoops, you can tell I'm used to the old command line here. So let's say I wanted to install Nginx, right? Let's say I didn't really want to deal with, so manually install, really attempt to install Nginx. So that's funny that it gives us so this is the same thing that we just did, right? Where it says update lists, right? And so it's going to pull that update. So just like we saw that update that ran before, it's running that now in the web UI. So it says, hey, look, it came back, and that should look familiar because we just did that at the command line. Now, if I come here, and let's say that I want to find, let's go find Nginx, because that otherwise would have installed it manually. So let's go say we want to install this. And look, now this is going to install all the different dependencies, and it'll actually tell me which dependencies are already installed and also how much space it's going to take up. Now this is pretty crazy because it's going to take less than 225 bytes. Like, that is tiny, right? So we can say install. I'm going to pause this for just a second while it's running this install. Again, this router isn't the world's fastest router, but hey, it's free because I'm practically free. For $20, you can barely pay for I barely pay for the shipping for it. So this will be running this install command, and I'm going to pause this and wait till this comes back. So while that's running, I actually want to talk a little bit about the overlay system here, right? So OpenWrt runs off of, and you can run different things. You can run off ext4, you can run off different file types, but for most routers, you're going to run this as a squashfs, right? Which has a JFFS2 partition that is writable, and then the squashfs, which is the read-only. So all the ROM is actually stuffed into the squashfs. The JFFS2 is a write, and there's an overlay file system that creates a delta between the two, right? And so when you write onto it, it's actually writing over to this side, and then runs that overlay between the two. So that's what it's actually doing. So now this just finished, and it installed, so unable to execute. Oh man. So something definitely bailed there. I guess I should have probably tested that. Now, if I had done this in the UI, the great thing is I can actually, if I go back to my SSH here, and if we say opkg update, this router could be host now. And that, I doubt it, but it's pretty resilient. You'll be surprised. What it can do with only 8 megs or 16 megs of ROM is pretty impressive. So if we say opkg install nginx, let's see what it does here. So if packages are already installed, opkg is a pretty robust package management system, and it's going to work to try to install these. So it says, hey, look, everything's up to date. So my guess is actually that the web UI probably just timed out, and everything's probably ready to rock and roll, even though the web UI wasn't totally sure what to do about it. So if let's refresh this page, if I can say that. And my guess is now if we go and look at this, we're going to see under the installed, we'll see nginx. Ta-da! So now nginx is probably hosted on here. Now right now it's probably conflicting with UHTTPD. So I could go in and manage the config files, right? So if I wanted to say, so let's say UCI show nginx, this will give us all the nginx settings. So right now it's listening on 443. It's also listening on port 80, right, to the redirect. Now, the thing is it's probably conflicting with UHTTPD, and I'd have to do a whole bunch of server type configs to get this to work. But the point is, I just installed 2 web servers on this tiny little router that has less than 600 megahertz processor, 128 megs of RAM, and 16 megs of ROM. This is pretty impressive, right? And if I look at this, there's actually still space left. That's what's kind of nuts about this, right? So of our overlay, we still have 75% of our overlay running here. That's pretty impressive. So there's a lot of really fancy stuff that we can do with OpenWrt. So I'd really encourage you to grab one of those kit routers from down below. They're $20. So I swear, I'm not making a bunch of money on this. The shipping in most places is $12 to $16. So I'm probably barely covering the eBay fees here. And so I've had these routers up actually for forever because we used to use these routers as part of CleanRouter. CleanRouter is a content filtering router that filters the internet for parents. And so, if you know somebody or if you yourself are looking for a great router for your family, CleanRouter is fantastic. We've sold tens of thousands of these things, and it works great for parents to be able to filter the internet. Apparently, my website doesn't work super good on this screen size. We'll have to work on that. But you can see here that this is how the CleanRouter works. So it's built on top of OpenWrt. We've been building on top of OpenWrt for over 15 years here at CleanRouter. So that's why I have a whole bunch of extra hardware that's laying around that's old used hardware that we don't use anymore. So grab these, take advantage of them, and start to hack around. Because here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers. That's part of the reason we called it Startup Hack, is so that you could take time to be able to try to hack on things. So grab your router down below. Make sure that you continue to work with us here because we love to train software developers. So check out startuphack.com or go to startuphack.com/Spencer if you have a great project for your team or you need some coaching, and we will catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.